I invite you to get comfortable in your space. Whether you are sitting, laying down, standing up, help your body to be comfortable where it's at. Breathing in and out slowly, gently, listening to your breath. Close your eyes if you'd like. It's a beautiful summer's day. Let us be mindful about where we are in the Earth's cycle. We are past the midsummer point, headed towards the autumn equinox. Here in Florida, that means we are still in the thick of the heat and humidity, with the life-giving patterns of sun and rain blessing us throughout the days. We are getting closer to the active part of hurricane season. It's very green in Florida this time of year. The grass, the weeds, or wildflowers, if you like, grow almost before our eyes, seemingly at least an inch more than the day before, working hard to cover up any work of tidying and path making we may have done. And the children, my, how they have grown over the summer too. Each child blooming, getting ready for what's next. Many getting ready to leave the house again each morning to take the path that leads them to school. Some even ready to leave the nest and head out on their own as adults. Exciting paths are beginning to emerge in front of them during this late part of the summertime. Summer. It often seems like a time to get off our regular pathways, despite warnings or hesitancy. Maybe the grass does us a favor here by growing in so quickly and obscuring the path so meticulously cut. Perhaps it is trying to remind us that summer is a good time to go a different direction, or to boldly trudge through those weeds and wildflowers, or perhaps to pause and go no direction at all. Summer. The children relax and return to play, engaging their imaginations. Some folks travel, heading down paths they've never been before. Or maybe, like I did myself, you just stay home and rest. During all of these moments that are different, our brain and our spirits are making connections, learning, adapting, growing just like those wildflowers, no matter how old or how young. Reflect on your summer. In what moments did you discover something new? What inner gifts have you developed by going down a different path? Going around an obstacle on the path? Exploring through the weeds and wildflowers? Or taking a rest right where you are on the path? How are you different right now than you were in June? This summer was certainly a summer like no other. It wasn't really even like 2020. Last year, we faithfully kept away from each other, did church on Zoom, hoped that if we stayed on the safe path that this would go away, or at least be alleviated. Our community stayed healthy. We made the best choices we could, and summer 2021 actually started with some hope. But now here we are, with the Delta variant running rampant in the larger community and affecting our very own small UUCL community in a big way, but not by any fault of our own. It just is this way right now. There's no good reason for it. And it sucks, really. It's frustrating. It's very difficult to plan anything or know what tomorrow will bring. I sense tension in people as we collectively experience a deep loss of control over what we know. The path we thought was before us cannot be clearly seen anymore. It's even frightening, or at least a bit anxiety-producing, to be out in the world at times, not knowing what kind of wolves we might encounter. How is this affecting your spirit? Are you losing hope, or are you able to find the joy in the small miracles? Do you see your pathways of possibilities starting to become blocked, or are you able to find new ways? Does this part of the story feel old and tired now, like it's really time to wrap this chapter up? Or have you adapted and started a new chapter already? These are big, sometimes overwhelming questions right now. Questions that might stir up the trauma that has been this pandemic. But take a deep breath. We're here together to walk down whatever paths we find, and we will find our way through together, even if we might get a little lost together. Together is why we come to church. Life can just be too overwhelming when we don't have each other. Church is about connecting, deepening relationships, and processing the mystery of life together. The church community holds the trauma together, alleviating the heavy burden that we might bear if we chose to be alone. All there is, all the joys, all the sorrows, all of life is a part of the mystery. And when we work through it together, holding, connecting, loving, witnessing, we are growing resilience, gathering spiritual wisdom, and transforming ourselves and life around us. I've been hearing that some of you miss doing joys and sorrows. I'm not surprised. It is the moment we hold our sorrows together and amplify our joys. So we will join together today, holding one another through the joy and the pain. However, since there hasn't been one way in particular of doing joys and sorrows that has worked well during this pandemic, we are going to try many ways. So first, let's start by listening to our physical bodies. Where is there tension? Where might there be joy? Whatever you want to work with, find it. Place your hands on that part of your body. And send yourself love and compassion. And think of the others around you too. Hold with them the joys and the sorrows. Send them love and compassion, and know that they are sending it to you and holding you. Now think about what you want to do with what you are holding. Perhaps you want to stand up, send it out somehow. Feel free to move around. If you are in the sanctuary, you are welcome to come to the front table and hold a shell, then place it in our collective basket filled with the sands of time. If you are on Zoom, feel free to type in the chat. You may also choose to quietly meditate and reflect as the image on the screen builds a web of interconnectedness, reminding us that we are never alone. Or simply close your eyes and listen to Adam play a gentle tune on the piano, letting your joy This is the Sunday before the kids and teachers in Polk County go back to school. Typically, this Sunday's worship service would be called Blessing of the Backpacks, and we would send the children off with blessings and joy and a celebration. I'd perhaps give a basket of wine and chocolate to the teachers, something akin to the blessings in Red Riding Hood's basket for Grandma. But again, we're not on the same path we once were, and as I sat down to discern exactly how to approach this worship time today, given the current difficulties we face, it occurred to me that we all so desperately need blessings right now as we start down yet another fork on our life's path. Yes, the children need blessings as they go back to school, many too young to be vaccinated and living in a state where mask mandates are being restricted. Blessings for their health, for their learning, for new friendships, and the ability to still find wonder in life. And the parents need blessings for wisdom as they try to navigate the path forward and keep their children safe and happy and healthy. Our high school graduates need blessings as they embark on something totally new and enter adulthood during a time like they have never seen. They need blessings for the courage to be the ones next in line to change the world. And the teachers need blessings for what is certain to be another challenging year. Blessings for patience and kindness and a gentle touch for students who might feel lost on the path. This time of year also marks the ramping up of the church year. July is the beginning of our fiscal year. After summer's lull, many of us are ready to re-engage. We want to be together with this community so that we may metabolize the troubles of this world. We want to hold our children and their parents and the teachers so they know they do not travel alone. We want to engage in the work of justice making together. We need blessings so that we know that the effort that is sometimes so hard to muster together is appreciated. We need blessings of courage so that we may continue to let our little lights shine in what seems to be a dim world growing dimmer. And what we all need right now are blessings for our imaginations. For as we tread, or walk, or march, or run, or dance down new paths, we need to imagine new ways to sustain life and love. With the help of Petra and Glenda, we've made blessing tags for your backpacks, purses, briefcases, car mirrors, vanity mirrors, books, wherever you need to have a blessing available. Petra and Glenda will hand out the tags in our sanctuary, and our tech team will put the blessing in the chat for you Zoomers at home so you can copy it or print it. And we will all enjoy this musical selection from Joshua and Adam.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in a world of your creation. What you'll see will defy explanation. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to, do it. Want to change the world, there's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to, do it. Want to change the world, there's nothing to it. There is is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
Thank you. All this talk about heading down different paths in my own imagination starts to place me in the story of Little Red Riding Hood. I'm not on the beginning of the path, though. Those naively and endlessly hopeful beginnings of my adulthood are long past. I've met many wolves of different sorts along the way, and I've certainly veered off the path looking for something else, probably one too many times. I'm very easily distracted by the wildflowers and trees, whether you observe me minute by minute or over the years of my life so far. Perhaps some of you can relate. Red Riding Hood is such a simple, universal story. Although I have many different versions of the story in my collection of fairy tale books, my favorite one to hold is this one, published in France in 1883. It belonged to my great-grandmother and my grandmother after that. It's a timeless story. A young girl walking down the path towards old age. She's told, don't stray from the path. I can almost hear my grandma saying that. Focus on your studies, she told me in the last conversation I had with her before her passing. So the lesson is to stay on the righteous path and by all means don't get sucked in by a predator's deceit, right? Or is it? Stories like this are meant to teach lessons about life, most often to children. But many of these stories, fairy tales, myths, and legends have been around the world for years and years, transmitted orally by the ancestors, changing as they work their way through the collective and individual cultures, adapting to the times at hand. Finally, they might be written down, with particular details coming to life on the pages we read by an author's particular imagination. Red Riding Hood has been told for hundreds of years in Europe, maybe more. Similar tales have been told in other parts of the world with different names and details, different life lessons. What I love about ancient stories is that they do hold universal truths, a collective consciousness, and Jungian archetypes. But at the same time, the stories change and adapt as humans do, as culture does, and as our imaginations evolve. Sometimes the stories change dramatically over time and space, leaving just the skeletal outline remaining, a young person on a path towards adulthood, with the perils of life to be encountered at some point. But sometimes it's the interpretations of the story that change throughout time and space. Little Red Riding Hood is known for its many different endings, some not so seemingly child-friendly in our own culture today, such as Little Red Cap eating parts of her grandmother. French author Charles Perrault published Little Red Riding Hood, Le Petit Chaperon Rouge, in Mother Goose Tales in 1697. Perrault's Red Riding Hood takes her clothes off and gets into bed with the wolf. The implications are obvious. This version really never was intended for a young audience in the first place. The Grimm's Red Cap, published in 1812, doesn't do that. She just approaches the wolf and gets eaten. And, by the way, the red color of the hood is an invention of Charles Perrault. In the 17th century, a decent woman would never wear a red hood because red was the color of sin. Only ladies with really bad reputations wore red dresses, leaving us with obvious insinuations from Perrault. Before the 17th century, the story was already well known. In some versions, though, the hood wasn't any particular color. In some, it was gold. And in some, the child on the path was a boy. Gold represents maturity and responsibility, and perhaps some would say that this is what Little Red Riding Hood is all about. Some interpretations of the ending explain it as an allegory of the Christian resurrection. Both Red Riding Hood and her grandmother died, but are saved by a higher power, represented by the huntsman. When Red Riding Hood and her grandmother come out of the stomach, they are symbolically born again. Of course, following the path could refer to any spiritual practice. In some early versions of the story, the wolf died via not the huntsman, but by Red's father cutting off the wolf's head. In Greek myths, some gods were born out of heads. Anthropologists, however, have traced this tale back to its early days in France by collecting accounts from women living in the countryside and small villages and piecing this information together with what they know of peasant women living in the 19th century. What is revealed is a story that illustrates the deep knowledge that women had of their own bodies and the cycle of nature. Red Riding Hood was a story that taught the succession of female roles in society, and as it turns out, the wolf's role was incidental and unimportant. In the ending of this woman's tale, Red Riding Hood uses her own ingenuity to escape the wolf and swim across the river to the group of women she is to learn about adulthood from. They trick the wolf into coming across on a sheet, but as he does, they pull the sheet out from under him and he drowns in the river. Clever, isn't it? As it happens, this original story was gentrified, almost out of recognition. We began this worship time together with the beginning of a story. The beginning of a journey that, as it turns out, has so many different endings. To be witness to this story that changes through time, place, culture, and individual imaginations is to know that we still have the power to rewrite timeless tales. We are in but a long line of ancestors. These stories are their blessings. They hold universal truths. They hold the joys, the challenges, the journeys of life that we all take. And they are witness to the inevitability of change and evolution, to the power of our human imaginations to create tales that can hold us all where we are now, binding us together and guiding us down the path. Whether there are weeds, wildflowers, or wolves to be found. And no doubt, it won't all be trouble-free. How might you rewrite Little Red Riding Hood? I imagine a main character that welcomes anyone on the gender spectrum into their story. I might change that red cap back to gold to symbolize spiritual wisdom, grace, resilience that we hope to achieve. I imagine that when this character transitions from child to young adult, that they've been taught enough to know how to put down boundaries and say, no thank you, to the wolf. And as they continue down the path, perhaps they find multiple good paths. I imagine a story in which once this Red Riding Hood reaches grandmother's cottage, that they can do more than fear the wolf. They can also approach with compassion, curiosity, and understanding, gather the rest of the village and find out why this wolf is so ravenously hungry and cruel. I imagine a woodcutter that understands restorative justice. Perhaps he becomes a spiritual mentor to the wolf, if indeed he is supposed to symbolize a godlike figure. I imagine an ending in which the wolf is eventually invited into a circle of friends that feed him biscuits and jam or cake and milk or maybe even chocolates and wine. I imagine that love wins for all of us together. So here we are, almost at the end of a summer that didn't reveal the path we wanted revealed. We probably feel more tired than refreshed. Nevertheless, a new cycle is beginning. So release familiar routines, stories, and stagnant situations. Go beyond the familiar. Feel free to get a little bit lost and open up to transformation. Blessings to us all as we continue forward. Blessings for the imagination that will keep our lights shining, connected, and still ready to transform the world. What will we do with that wolf? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Thank you, Adam. This is the time where we call our community together and figure out how we can connect and love and transform. We were going to have a board meeting today. However, we've postponed it to next week. Am I right, Ken? We're still postponing it. Okay. Yeah, we've had, like I said, COVID has started to affect our community, and so we're just playing it safe, and some folks who have been affected, haven't been able to get some stuff done that needs to be done for the meeting. So we'll have it next week, probably on Zoom at 1 o'clock. I am back from vacation, and so I'm working on. Thank you. It's good to be back. I'm rested. So I'm working on figuring out my office hours and my work days and my days off. They might not be the same as they were last year. So I will keep you updated as I figure out exactly what the right schedule for me is going to be, because I'm taking a different path this year. But please connect with me if you want to chat. We can chat in person, we can chat on Zoom. Send me an email and we can set up a time. Chocolate? Yes, you can bring me chocolate. Okay. Let's see. I think, little red butterfly. I think that is all I have. Does anybody else here in the sanctuary have an announcement that I'm missing? Maggie? Yeah. 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 Thank you, Maggie. Maggie was just announcing that the ITAF food pantry is shut down. It was set up to be temporary. We did it for over a year. So thank you so much to all the volunteers. It's a lot of hard work, and that path has ended, but certainly a new one will open up. Yeah, we definitely made some great connections. And there is milk in the refrigerator, so you're welcome to have some. And it's organic. Woof. I'm not sure if anyone on Zoom has an announcement. Usual stuff for the week. Women's group, 3 o'clock tomorrow on Zoom. Okay. And the book group is 7 o'clock on Tuesday on Zoom. And the coffee clutch is Tuesday morning at 10 here on the patio outside. And Thursday night is the creative and production team. So if you are interested in helping us out with the worship services and you like this techie stuff, or you just have a great idea, feel free to join us on Zoom at 6:30 for that team. I think that's all I have. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning. It's great to see what I know are smiling faces under those masks. And I can't see y'all on Zoom either, but hello, goodbye for the day. Blessings to all of you. We'll see you next week. Oh, we forgot to extinguish the chalice. Goodness gracious. Let's extinguish the chalice. See, I'm just a little bit out of out of rhythm, huh? Out of practice, yeah. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world. I saw Tom go out, so I'm assuming there's snacks out there for y'all. Go in peace, that's right.
Bye, everyone. Ted, I'm going to sign off.
All right. Well, we'll go say hi to folks and